Hello, hello. Ron Callis here with another episode of Automation Unplugged. We are here for show 181. Today is Wednesday, August 4th. It's a little bit after 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. So this is our normal day and time. I'm watching my network meter on my computer and it's kind of bouncing up and down. So I'm praying to the network gods that we don't have an interruption like we did last week with our show where we lost our guest live for about 30 seconds or so. But hopefully that does not happen to us. And today our guest is, I've actually gotten to know Tom over the last few months. And I think you guys we're in for a world of fun here. Tom's been at this game for a long time. He knows everyone. He knows all the brands. He knows all the selling and techniques and methodologies. And he has a really fun perspective on automation, integration, high-end, high-performance audio, and how to grow a successful business in that high-performance audio domain. And so without further ado, today's guest is Tom Farinola. He's the visionary at Atlantic Home Entertainment and Stereo out in Southern California. And I'll bring him in and he'll tell us exactly where his location is. And we're going to meet him here. So let me go ahead and see if technology is behaving. It does look like we are streaming live here on Facebook. I'm going to click one thing here just to make sure technology is fully behaving. I do see people are joining us. And it does look like we are live on LinkedIn as well. So if you're out there in Facebook land or LinkedIn land, don't be shy. Give us a like. If you feel so compelled, drop us a note. Tell us who you are and where you're coming to us from. And if you want more of your friends around the industry to see the interview, then share it. And I would be forever in your debt. So let me go ahead and bring Tom in, and let's get this party started. Tom, how are you, sir?
Welcome from Southern California. It's snowing here though. Don't let that bother you.
I don't buy it. I don't believe it's snowing. Tom, tell the audience a little bit about your role in Atlantic Home Entertainment, and where exactly are you guys located?
Located physically in the city of Costa Mesa, on the cusp of Newport Beach. And most people don't know where Costa Mesa is, but know where Newport Beach is. So we're like right on the border.
Okay, you're down there. That would be. I know I've been in that area once or twice. Is that near Dania Beach or in that? Is it
Dana Point?
Dana Point.
Point's about 30-40 minutes further north.
Okay.
You're about 45 minutes south of LAX, if you know where LAX is.
Okay.
Along the coast.
And you have a physical store. You have I know you're back in your private office, but you have a physical store. Tell us about the store.
Store's been around since 1959. It's as far as I know, I think it's the oldest standing brick and mortar store in California. The store was its original name was Atlantic Music back in the early late 50s. And because it was a Pacific stereo at the time. The original owner, his name was Ralph Yeomans. He's passed on now, but he owned a company called Sound Craftsman. Some of you might have remembered that name. And he created Atlantic Music. And everybody they always ask me, how do you get Atlantic? And I tell people, well, because I'm from New York. And they go, oh, well, I guess that makes sense. I said, well, that's not the truth. The truth is that it was actually on Atlantic Boulevard in a city called Long Beach. And back in those days, you had a lot of yellow page ads. And it mattered if you were it gave you different positioning in the book I remember when we had to do yellow page ads back in the day. And so that was why it was called Atlantic. And then he wanted to get out of that area, so he opened up a secondary store in Costa Mesa. That's where the two stores came from. And then he eventually shut down the store on Atlantic Boulevard in Long Beach and kept the one in Costa Mesa. Some of you might have remembered the Costco days. It was called Price Club.
My family was a member of Price Club. I remember that as a kid.
Price Club. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, back in the day, there was also, before Price Club, there was Gemco and Fedco stores. And they were like a club membership. And Ralph, a visionary in his time, created the very first, I call it a facilities management. He was the audio video departments in those stores. And everything there was a company called Costron that actually he owned as well. And he sold all the things that didn't sell in those stores to Atlantic Music in Costa Mesa. And as it evolved, those stores shut down. Costco came along, Price Club, and here we are, fast forward, and here we are kind of like today. That's how the store happened to be planted in Costa Mesa and held at Atlantic. For years, it was called Atlantic. And somewhere in the 70s, it changed to Atlantic Stereo. I bought it in 1990. That's a story upon itself, how I ended up buying the company. But for years, people go up and down the street and they go, stereo. What does stereo mean? They would come in and say, do you do car stereo? I'm like, no. Well, they didn't know. Stereo means nothing to people, especially now. So I have long-time ties with a good friend of mine named Mark Mendelson. And at the time, he used to work for the Kirko Home Theater Group, which then evolved into the Rob Report. And I wanted to change the name to Atlantic Home Entertainment. And I kept stereo because
sentimental value.
So it's sentiment. I'm very sentimental. You probably around my office. I don't know what you can see. It's artifacts from Tom's world, Tom's life, from age practically before Tom's world to the Tom's world. I get everything. Wherever my eyes land, it has a memory.
So what were you doing before you purchased the business? And that was in 1990. So I'm going to use that as a pivot point. What were you doing before that you became aware and decided to purchase, and then, bring us forward from there? So let's go into the past and then from 90 to the present.
In 1978, I had to exit Iran. I was living abroad in a place called Isfahan, Iran, working for a company called Grumman Aerospace. And if you remember, there was the hostages were taken in 79. So all the American families had to leave Iran. In 1978, I had landed in California, and I was 21 at the time, and I was looking for a turntable or something. And somebody said, there's a little store over on 17th Street in Costa Mesa. That's where you got to go. So I ended up going to this little store called Atlantic Music, and I started buying my products or my hobby starting 1978. And I continued to buy from Atlantic Stereo or Atlantic, now it was Atlantic Stereo, all throughout the 70s, the 80s. And the kid that worked here at the store once said, with everything you're buying, you should just buy the store. The light bulb went off in Tom's head, and I went, wow, I could buy the store, and I could like play with all the equipment, and then when I'm done playing with it, I could sell it. This would be a perfect concept, right? And then all my friends who own businesses of all various types, they said, well, what's the P&L look like? And I'm like, what's a P&L? But the balance sheet, what's that? And I said, okay, you don't want to do this. You do not want to buy a company like this. Obviously, I listened to them, and I bought the company. I became a partner with Ralph Yeomans at the time when he was alive. So I used to have two cars. Before my normal job was selling high-end, I should say high-end, but commercial grade printing presses in the whole for corporations, a company called AM International. I think they're gone now. But I was selling to Arco and McDonnell Douglas and Boeing. I was their top salesman in the country. So of like 500 sales guys. So anyway, I was very secure there, was doing very well. And I used to have a business card, and one side said President Atlantic Stereo, and the other side had my salesman hat on for selling printing presses. And I played this for a couple of years until my other company said, Tom, I think it's a conflict of interest. You know, your sales have gone from top to zero. You know, I think you need to move on. And I didn't want to move on. I was very content having a salary and a car and all that kind of stuff. Well, needless to say, I jumped in with both feet, and I was like, oh my God, I have a store with employees and overhead. Oh, this is a whole different ballgame. Somehow I did it. People say, how did you do it? I don't know. I started using my professional selling skills back in the day, being, you know, ingrained with what they called Xerox had a selling program. Dale Carnegie has, you know, it's all that. You learn corporate. So I took those skills and I put them into Atlantic, and it was right at the cusp in 1990 to 1995 when systems started to evolve. We broke from the ranks of selling stereo, 2-channel to home automation or entry levels of distributed audio. So I took the sales skills, you know, features and benefits, return on investment, of which a lot of it was my old world, and started showing it to people, the average consumer, how to have a return on investment on what they were spending money on. And sales grew and business started to grow. I think the changing point was right around 2003-ish. A lot of the brick and mortar stores started to see that it wasn't very profitable to be a retailer. I mean, the inventory you had to have, people coming in, not buying from you, always wanting a discount. And a lot of stores shut their retail businesses down and evolved strictly over to custom and dealing with builders and interior designers and saying, why do I need to spend $4 a square foot when I can be in a business park and pay $2 a square foot? And the retail business really isn't very profitable for me, so I want to get out of it. And in our industry, the salesperson, a lot of end users don't realize this, but the salesperson is not paid by typically a salary. They're paid on the profit of the sale. This is a catch-22 because now you're putting the salesman's livelihood against what the needs of the client is. The client has his own needs and wants, and the salesman is going to typically sell what's most profitable for himself. Has to be in business. So it's not about, well, you sold X amount, that's what you get paid on, regardless of what it is. There are things in our industry that have a higher profit margin than things that don't. And typically, the higher the value of the product, typically has lower the profit margin. So there's a conflict of interest when an end user client believes in his salesman and it kind of almost gives him a blank check. And the salesman has to choose. Do I sell him high profit product, even though I know it's not better from the client's end enjoyment at the end, or do I pay my bills? So we have an issue. And that's how that went. Now, what I did, and it's been very difficult over the years, is having to run a retail store and run a high-end custom integration business. Very, very difficult. Because on one hand, it's project management and keeping track of dotting all the I's and crossing all the T's and having a lot of people with very low inventory. And the other one is the opposite. You have very low people with a lot of inventory. It's been a challenge.
Just to pull the thread on that and to state the obvious, in March 2020, COVID hit. How did that affect the retail side versus the custom integration side? I mean, what did I'm assuming retail took a hit. Maybe people didn't come in for a while, but did integration keep you afloat, or how did that, how did the last 18 months play out?
Actually, the thread is prior to that, in 2008 to 2012.
Please.
See, that's where a lot of companies went under.
That's true.
And what COVID hit was even worse, but because of the damage that the recession hit. When the recession hit and housing went down, all the dealers who shut down their retail stores and evolved to builder design, they got crushed. They had nobody to fall back on. They couldn't go back to retail business. They didn't have any of their walk-in traffic. So a ton of integrators left California and went to places like Austin or wherever seeking work. So that really damaged the industry. And then things started getting better. Then COVID hit. Again, no, I don't know very many dealers who became bigger on the custom end that still jumped into the retail end. It's not an easy progression. It's a very easy progression to go from retail to custom.
So how did that play? So back to the question, last 18 months, COVID, how did retail versus custom play out? Like, how did that swing or change for you, if at all?
It didn't help because you couldn't come in and listen. Retail was really coming in and listening to speakers or looking at TVs or whatnot, but you really don't have that. But it didn't affect us as much as you would think it would. I created something which a lot of dealers do. I created my acronym is ACP, Atlantic Concierge Partnership, which is the ability of servicing your clients remotely. Power cycling the Apple TV or the router or the modem or whatever the case may be. And a lot of us, the bigger dealers do. Everybody is now doing it. I take it another step where we talk about what's the difference between YouTube TV and Hulu TV. Should I cut the cable cord and go to, should I stay with DirecTV and cable TV or go? We get into these kinds of questions. I throw into my concierge program. And I started using a lot of Zoom calls and whatnot to their clients when they couldn't come to the store. And a lot of clients really, really enjoyed that. So again, it didn't really affect us as much as it would other dealers.
Big picture, 2021 versus 2020 for you. Is 2021 looking better? Or is it the same, same as 2020?
2021 originally, like between January to April, it was just gangbusters. It was the phone was ringing constantly across all platforms, building, retail, didn't really matter. And then right around May-ish, the phone stopped ringing. I'm not sure if it's because people are feeling more comfortable and now they're going to go on their vacations and they pull back on some of their discretionary income and divert the money that way. But I've seen an uptick. I've seen an uptick now in mid-July again. So it's kind of like, conventionally for us, it's always been a little bit on the slow side, March, April. That's tax time. You never know. You don't know what your tax is going to be. So that's always been generically a dip for us. But it's all fun. So
let me, Tom, we got a few people that have given us some shout outs. So I want to say hi to our friends at System Design and Integration, SDI. And they are saying, hi, Steve, Alexa, and Angel with SDI Boston, sending you a hello. Hey, thanks, team. Appreciate that. And we have a question here from Sean Sturmer. He says, Tom, what are your thoughts on the resi-mercial transition at all? He says, thoughts on the resi-mercial transition at all? In other words, I want to say some of the publications have covered this recently. The idea that residential businesses are starting to see more commercial. Are you seeing any of that, or are you dipping your toe into any of that?
I've been seeing that for 20 years. I've always said when a residential project does a really great job, it's commercial-esque. Commercial has been using racking designs as long as I've ever known it. You walk into a commercial and like a server room, it's all racked. The residential mark back in the 90s we were stuffing equipment into furniture, drilling holes, trying to get airflow. I mean, it was horrendous. I mean, it took us eons to get the client to show the importance of a client to spend a couple grand for this metal cage that doesn't do anything. It just sits somewhere. I mean, that took a monumental change of a lot of the industry begging builders and architects and designers to put the equipment in these racking systems because they're expensive. To do a good rack properly ventilated well, that ventilation's another whole world that were really a problem, was a monumental change. They still do not put the equipment where they should put it. They put it wherever the easiest place to put it is. It's not in the living room. It's not in the family room. It's supposed to be in the garage and in a hall closet if I can ventilate it to the outside. People do not understand you got to get air in and air out. They don't get it unless they can ventilate and put a chiller on the floor. You can put air conditioning in there. Everything we sell today gets hot. VCRs and turntables didn't get hot. Now we have Apple TVs, DVRs, NVRs. The router gets hot. You put a battery backup in it, that gets hot. But you know what? It gets loud. And so you got this constant conflict of it. So to answer your question, this resi-mercial, absolutely. It's blending before our eyes. So I'm surprised that, which I have another big surprise, is why Infocom hasn't really taken over the CES portion of our industry. I mean, none of us go to CES. I mean, our industry, and CEDIA is the only game in town. So why isn't Infocom more of a competitor to CEDIA? I don't get that.
Hey, maybe they're listening. Maybe they will be. Who knows? To spin it a different direction. The other day, Tom, when you and I were talking, you actually took your computer. I'm not asking you to do this now, but you took your computer, your iPad over to your demo facility, and you were talking to me about audio and sound. And I could sense the passion and joy that you have when you talk about music and sound reproduction. Can you talk at a high level, what makes a good audio demo? Like when you are doing your thing, Tom's doing his jam, and you're passionately talking with your customers or prospects. And I know you're selling very expensive high-end gear. You're selling Steinway Lingdorf amongst many other very premier brands. And you're doing it successfully, and you've been doing it successfully for years. How do you do that?
Number one, you translate whether it's your eye contact or your voice or your mannerisms that you have a passion for what you do. The person that you're talking to, either that's face to face or on the other end of the phone, they feel that, and they have more of a tendency to believe you. That's number one. Number two is listening to the needs of the end user. What is important to them? Everybody's needs are different. The consistency that I found, though, across all platforms, usually they want it they don't know the right words to put it into. So I listen to the words that people tell me when I give a Steinway Lingdorf demo. The wife says, "My ears don't hurt." I can hear the words without seeing closed caption on my TV. It's one person said it's conversational audio. I'm like, conversational audio. Well, I had it pretty loud, and I was like maybe 10 feet away from them, and we were having a conversation. He says, I can't do that with my system. If I turn it up that loud, you and I can't talk. These are the needs of the person. And when you understand their needs and they understand that you understand those needs, then you have a bond. And when that happens, then you're communicating. So I hope that answered the question.
Well, when you give let's say that you have a customer and they've been a long-time customer and you've provided them with cool gear, and they tell a friend, and that friend comes and meets you for the first time. Walk me through how you introduce audio gear technology. Like, what's your, without giving away any of your super secret sauce, what's the kind of the method that you go through with a new prospect?
First, I usually bring them when they come in the store. I walk them through the store. The store is, we didn't really talk about that. The store is about 4,000 square feet, and it's all one level. And I have this one section of the store that it's on the remodel, but I have all the old equipment I brought out. I've taken out of people's homes over the last 3 generations, like old Marantz, reel-to-reels, the whole lineage of Sony Blu-ray players. There's a lot of history there, and they always grabs their attention. They always ask questions about it, and how much is that worth? And I said 0, because I'm never going to sell it. If I never sell it, it's worth 0. So, but I'm a collector like that. And then I take them in, then we walk through the store, and then you have all these Sony TVs up on the wall, and I always sell the top end. I always sell the flagships of whatever it is I'm selling. Like we only sell OLED. That's it. It's all the OLEDs on the wall. Then we go into the Steinway room, and we go and I talk about all the various models and shapes, and we go through a whole litany of like a little demo from everything from Unplugged to Kaleidoscape to a render, or however I touch on all surfaces. And then we continue, and I walk and I show the little 2-channel room that we do, and then I walk them through the sales office, and I walk them into my office, so they get a feel for who we are. And then I sit down, I start asking questions about what their needs are, what's important to them, what are they trying to do? Are they trying to downsize? Are they just trying to watch TV? Do they want it really easy? Everybody says it's easy, but there's different levels of easy, and everybody's idea of easy is different. So you have to kind of get through that. The consistency is, they don't want it. You have different entities in the house, typically, that care. You have a wife and you have a husband, or 2 partners. But even with 2 partners, you still have one person's into it, one person's not. But the consistency is they know they don't want it to be loud. And it's very difficult because acoustically in the houses today, normally acoustically speaking, it's awful. Glass and stone and wood, and it's just
hard surfaces.
It's very hard surfaces. And so how do you overcome that? So that's a challenge. And then you don't want to see the speakers. You got the wife and the interior designer who doesn't want to see anything. And it's like, and you can't change the room. They're not going to let you always put acoustical panels or a stretch wall in the rooms. So what do? We put the speakers in the ceiling. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to go there. But we're going to. I
always thought that's like the way we do it as an industry. But I've always been like, how can... My ears are in front of me. How can speakers over my head be a good idea? But I don't know. I don't rock.
Remember what I said before in the beginning of the podcast? Number one.
They're selling our industry. Everyone listening is guilty.
Well, I'm guilty too. So
everyone's guilty.
Everyone's guilty. We had to put them in the ceiling because the wife didn't want to see them. The wife didn't want to see the speakers. If the wife wasn't the wife who was the interior designer, I don't want to see the speakers. I got to put the speakers in the room. Where do I put them? I got to put them in the ceiling.
Right.
And then we went to angle designs and twisting speaker. How you play the game all you want. The reality is, it was the least path of resistance. It's the fastest way to sell the job, and we put them in the ceiling, and it's the highest profit margin. My industry is going to hate me for this, but oh well.
Well, I brought it up, so you and me, we're both going to get tomatoes.
I'm going to get crushed, but I can only imagine. Go ahead.
So, all right, understood. So, you are clearly very passionate, I'm going to say, about audio and video. You also are an integrator. You do integration projects. But I have a perception that industry-wide, and I talk to lots of people, I'm going to say that for at least a while, maybe the last 10, 15 years, maybe the last 20 years, integration has been more in vogue than being an audio-video specialist. Do you have an opinion on that? And i.e., where's all the passion for audio and video gone? Clearly, you're passionate.
It's hard because I've seen the same similarity when I used to sell printing presses and commercial equipment. It's a job. It's hard to get passionate about selling a printing press. It's difficult. And our industry has evolved that way. And it's not to say the salesmen aren't passionate for what they do, but it's hard to get passionate about something when the end user is saying, "Look, what is the final number? Here's my budget. Fit it to that." I don't want it. The husband, who is a lot of times not the stereotype, but most of the time the husband or the dominant person is paying for the bill, and they don't want to go through the minutia of the equipment. They don't care. They don't care whether it's a Sony or Marantz or a Steinway. Well, Steinway is different because that does instill passion back into the process. I'm going to take that out of the way, but it's they don't care. It's a necessary evil, and they typically will turn to their spouse and say, "You deal with it. I don't want to be involved." Now they want to be involved when the system doesn't work. When they're trying to watch TV and they can't change the channel, or they can't change the input, or they're trying to navigate through Apple TV and the Apple TV locks up, or the Roku locks up, or they can't watch Netflix, then it all comes to front. Then all of a sudden they want to be involved. But the whole minutia of the process, roll the clock back, go back 30 years. How did we do it then? Well, now the husband comes in the store. They want to touch and feel the equipment. They want to listen to the speakers. They want to see what the preamp or the receiver looks like. They want to care about the cables that connect from point A to point B. It's a whole different process. So now we have a different world. When people turn over, used to be you had TV sets that were 2 feet deep. Nothing's changed. I didn't want to see the TV. So what'd you do? You put them in a cabinet. So when you put them in the cabinet, then what'd you do? Put the speakers in the cabinet, not in the ceiling, because we had a cabinet to work with, and you had conventional speakers, and you put them in the cabinet. And when you put them in the cabinet, you had separation. Thing over the top of the TV is called a center channel. Not a sound bar, go to center channel. Speaker on the right goes in the cabinet. Speaker on the left goes in the cabinet. Then you put speakers in the ceiling for back speakers. And that was okay. Where'd the subwoofer go? Went in the cabinet. Sell the house. New person comes in. First thing they do is rip out the cabinet. Where's the equipment go? In the ceiling. Or they get a sound bar. And then they say, I can't hear the words. I'm watching Outlander or Peaky Blinders, and I can't hear the words. Why can't I hear the words? Can't hear the words because if I'm talking to you and I got a bunch of people behind me talking at the same time, guess what? You're not going to hear the words because you're 10 feet away.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult. And then a lot of salespeople and dealer owners, they get beat up so much. It's like, you know what? I don't care. I give up. But business is doing great. People don't care anymore. So why should I care or they don't care? And then the industry, as the gentleman beforehand, the resi-mercial, it's coming. It's on its fast track. It's very, very hard to bring that passion back to people. It's very hard. I'm doing it now, but I'm doing it in a grassroots method of selling what, I don't know if I can plug names, but
yeah, mention whoever you want.
Steinway Lingdorf has done that.
So tell me more about that. I know that you're passionate about Steinway Lingdorf. You given me the demo through Zoom. I was on the edge of my seat. You even took me to a resource page, and I watched a few more videos, and I think I now get it. And it sounds like that's a neat brand, an exciting brand that clearly has you passionate. And this is not a Steinway Lingdorf. They're not sponsoring this show. But just like for you, why did it really strike a chord with you?
It struck my heart because of all the things I mentioned that I talked to people, and everyone I show it to, people that hate our industry, the wife, the interior designer hates our industry. And I shouldn't use the word hate, but they don't like our industry. They don't want to see this dislike. But they come in and they say, it says Steinway and Sons. Is that the piano people? And I say, yes, they endorse it. They go, oh, wow, it's really interesting. They look at it, it's kind of small, and they look to their husband and say, you can have that. And the husband's always like, oh, really? Then I turn it on, and then the wife, the husband's just, and then the wife is like, my ears don't hurt. That's where I came up with the term. My ears don't hurt.
Yeah. And
then I turned it to, Peaky Blinders or something. And then I turn on The Greatest Showman, and I play I can't know the name of the song, or the one with Bradley Cooper and whatever her name is. So, and the women are sitting there. I can't get a woman to stay in the store. I can now. So because they love it, the husbands love it. They're watching TV, they're listening to music, they're listening to Sonos. It doesn't matter. It makes everything sound amazing, and it looks amazing. So now I've got something that they're passionate again, because I'm passionate. It's not an uphill battle. Up until now, it's been the last 15 years, it's been an uphill battle. Now it's not. And it's back. I get people coming. They come in the store. They drive down the street and they come in the store. Can you turn that on again for me? I like to listen to, I haven't had that happen in 30 years. So and that's what has me so, I want to tell everyone, anybody who can possibly then buy this. It is pricey, but it's not pricey because it's a one and done sale. We're not accustomed to, as an industry, because we're a hobby industry. And I've been selling the hobby for 30 years. You come into the store, you buy a pair of speakers, and then you come back to the store and say, well, it's not quite right. And we play around with the cables, we play around the power conditioner, we get maybe a subwoofer, maybe get 2 subwoofers, maybe you get a tube amp. That's the hobby. Steinway doesn't play that game. It's one and done. Done. What happens? It just stays with you. You may get a different type of speaker, but the amp is the same and the preamp is virtually the same. What happens when you move? It goes with you. What happens when you move again? It goes with you. What happens when you die? You hand it to the next generation. I venture to say, which is astonishing, go to Audiogon and try to find used Steinway. There's no used Steinway Lingdorf in the world on Audiogon. How is that physically possible? They've been around for 20 years because they don't resell it. And that's alien to our industry. It's similar to the commercial industry or residential distribution integration. Normally, when we do a house and you sell the house, it all stays with the house and you buy another system.
Right.
So what happens is you become detached as an end user. You don't have any desire to hold on to the thing you bought. So going back to your original question, the end user is losing its passion for it. It was a great question. As I never use it as a term, but resi commercial, it is, until you buy Steinway. If you buy Steinway, it goes with you.
So what I'm hearing is, if the integrator or the dealer gets particularly passionate, and I'm gonna extrapolate this to any of their products or solutions, they're then easier to sell. And so if you want to be good at selling, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, but if you want to be good at selling high-end audio, you need to find solutions or brands that you get excited about. Because if you're excited, that passion's going to be transmitted to your customers.
It is, but it's a hard sale because you have to start over. You have to use their amp, their preamp, and their speakers. And a person comes in looking for something to start over from scratch. It's extremely difficult. I mean, you'll turn off more clients than you'll get. I mean, you have to. You can do it. I've done it, but I'm also at the end of my career. I'm also at the point where I'm not building a business the same way. I'm not trying to have multiple stores or 20 people in my company. I'm not in the same boat as me, a 35-year-old me. Right. I can't do that. So that's difficult. Also, a lot of my clients, they say, Tom, you've been building my system for 20 years or 15 years, and I love my system. What do I do with it? So it's like, my kids don't want it. I don't have multiple houses to put it in. I don't want to just give it away. What do I do?
What's the answer?
What's the answer? Light bulb goes off, and I created a consignment store. I sell, if you buy a Steinway Lingdorf system from me, then I will help sell your product on. I became an AudioGone dealer to sell their consignment equipment. So I created this. I had a problem, created a solution.
So Tom, I'm mindful of time here. You've been in business 35 years or so, and there are many business owners listening at various stages of their commercial enterprise, their business, their entrepreneurial journey. What are maybe an idea or two, a recommendation or two on things to consider, maybe lessons that you've learned that you wish if you could share it with others, that maybe you'll save them from some of the pain? Or anything come to mind?
First thing is, obviously, concept is don't extend yourself out. Don't over leverage yourself. There's smart money versus, it's difficult, but don't like we used to have flooring. My old owner, Ralph Yeomans, he said, never do flooring ever. If you can't buy the equipment and pay for it, don't do it. It was a lesson learned, because when the recession hit, I didn't have any debt. There is good debt and bad debt. I've also been held back because I could have maybe expanded my business better if I had taken loans and expanded when I could have and hit the market right. So it's a balancing act, but I've always stayed in there. No, the number one asset you have is your clients and the knowledge on your clients. Keep all that data that you have on your clients, their name, their phone numbers, their emails, what they have in their house. That's really valuable information. You don't want to share that with anyone. If there's companies out there that need that information to assist you in your job, I'd be a little leery on that. I would make sure that whoever those companies are, you have something in your agreement that prohibits them from selling that in case their company gets sold, which a lot of companies in our industry are being bought and sold. And you don't want to lose that information. Your information is your greatest asset. Someday, obviously not everybody is going to be like me, who's going to work until I croak and my heirs get to deal with it. But if you're thinking about an exit strategy, your information is your greatest asset. Not the lines that you sell, not unless you own the building. Of course, that's an asset, but it's really the data. And the more data you have on your clients, that's even better. Like, what do they have? How old is it? When is it due for turnover? That's assuming that, we are in different areas of the country where parts of the country, generations of people stay in the same house. California, they don't. We turn over houses every 5 to 10 years. But still, the system stays. So the more data you have about the system that's staying in the house, the more chance that you have of going back to that client.
How do you weaponize that, Tom? I mean, I say weaponize it for good. You have that data, you have that historical record of who bought what, when. I'm going back into my memory banks from many, many years ago. I want to say I was traveling in the Midwest with Lutron, and I visited an integrator. I want to say in Kansas. I want to say Lawrence, Kansas, and I want to say it was Keefe's Audio. But I met the principal there, and he said exactly what you just said. And this was a guy that had been doing this for 50 years. And he said the most valuable asset in his business was the record of who bought what when. And he was weaponizing that data with marketing strategies and biz dev outreach. And so what does that mean for you? What do you do with that data?
With my concept of ACP, Atlantic Concierge Partnership, it gives me the ability to, with the technology that we have today with Wattbox and whatnot, it really gives me or Blue Bolt before them, it gives us the ability to really be a proactive dealer versus a reactionary dealer. We all talk about being proactive, but it's hard because you've only got so many people in your company, and who's going to do it? Me, my assistant, my project manager. We're out there doing new jobs. So the more data you have and the more you can help do it faster, the more value you're going to be to your client. I'm a big believer of, like, Crestron has a source code, and some dealers give the source code away, some dealers don't. Some dealers make the client come to them, and this is all pre what they call Crestron Home. This is what they call Crestron Simple, and a lot of people will know that. I give the source code to the client. I want the client to come back to me because they want to be with me, not because they have to come back to me. That's always been my design for 30 years. And with the ACP and with the helps of, as I said, Blue Bolt and now Wattbox, we can actually become, and Demotes. Demotes is it's a great asset. That's a product that allows us to be more proactive, and we're still learning. If you can get to the client, we all know this, if any of the dealers are out there, if we can get to the client before the client gets to us, when there's a problem, it's a much better conversation. If the client has to get to us, yes, we can all dance around it and make the client happy again, but it's much better the other way around. And in many cases, if we get to the client before the client gets to us, we can fix the problem. The client always wants to blame whatever's in their hand. Now, it doesn't matter if it's Savant, a Crestron, or Control 4. And 9 out of 10 times, it's not that. It's something else. Apple TV needs an update. We can't update remotely yet that I know of from how to do Apple TV. We have to walk the client through it, or we have to go out and do it ourselves. And when I talk to the client goes, "Oh, I thought it was the remote." No, the remote turned everything on. It can't be the remote. Oh, well, you're right. Okay. Can you watch DirecTV? Yes. Well, then it's not the remote. Can you watch Apple TV? No, it's locked. Okay. Then I go to my little magic box. I push it. I power cycle it. They go, "Oh my God, you're a savior." Okay, wait a minute. Go to settings. Go to general. Go to systems. Go to software maintenance. Oh, you're on 14.5. Okay, we got to get you to 14.7. If you care about your client and you love them, you'll be fine. It's easy. It's easy. Whether you're selling printing presses or cars or audio video or websites, if you care about your client, not only will you be happier, you'll also have a much better experience in life, I believe.
I agree. And on that theme, what drives you? What lights your fire inside?
This. I missed when people say, what if you had to do life to do it all over again, what would you do? Would you do it the same? Would you do everything you're saying? I mean, at least from a business perspective. And I would say, I wish I was more, I wish I could get to more people. I talk to people from everywhere. And when I became a dealer for AudioGone, which is now just recently, I'm talking to people not just from Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, and who have been to my store or have heard of my store, but I'm talking to people from all over the country. And I get into these half-an-hour conversations, and one person called me, which I actually liked. I didn't take it as a negative. He called me a unicorn. I laughed as a unicorn. He said, "Yeah, I wish I had met you 5 years ago." And I just kind of laughed. That made me feel good. What drives me? That drives me. It's kind of funny. I talk as fast as I can, but it comes to this is 1978 or something. When I came back from Iran, I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was 21 years old. I was going to night school. So I took this aptitude test. It took like 5 hours to take this test. And I had to like mark little things off, and they put it through this computer thing, and it came out with a printout. But I forgot about it. And I stuck the printer in a box. 40 years later, I'm opening up old boxes, and they come across this printer with the little holes on the side, the paper sheet, and up at the top, it said what I should do in life. Now, back then, I was working for aerospace. I wasn't doing sales at all. This is all pre-sales days. And at the top of the list, it says salesman. Second one said school teacher. Third one said drama. And the funny thing is, I love all three. The problem with salesmen, unfortunately, is salesman in our society means bad. And I've always said there's a fine line. It's a fine line between con man and salesman. When a salesman sells what's best for the client, he's a salesman. When a salesman sells what's best for him, it's borderline. It's borderline completely, but and we all have to be profitable. So again, you go back to this line. It's easy to say I'm from a teacher. If I'm a teacher, then I have no vested interest in being a teacher. I mean, other than giving my point of view. But it's all encapsulating. It all means the same. Communication. I was a business major. Hated it. I hated being a business major. And then when I was in school, you probably cut this out. I was in school, and there was this class. It was called Human Sexuality. So I took human sexuality, and I went, wow, I like this class. So I went back to the guidance counselor and said, I want to take more of these classes. And she says, well, that's not a major, but you can that's a part of the speech communications major. I said, okay, fine. I became a speech communications major. I went from business to that. Fell in love with school overnight. And a lot of it was drama and interpersonal communication, which, by the way, is sales training. When you evolve into the world, it's all sales training. So anyway, and it all comes back to communication, which we use in life. We use in life with our mates, with our parents, with our clients, with our vendors. And I think we've evolved in this whole commercial resi concept. We're getting away from communication. Some of us are used to just now texting everything. We don't want to have the I communication. And that's hurting everybody, not just their industry. It's hurting the end user. It's hurting us. It's hurting the vendors. We have to get back to that. And this is a way of doing it.
What is a word of advice to the vendors, the manufacturers that are tuned in? What's a common mistake they do when they call on you, the reseller, their partner? And so this is a chance to speak to them. Hey, I wish you guys and gals would do this a little differently, or be mindful of this type of way of working with us. Anything come to mind?
Yeah, one big one. One, huge. You got me on a soapbox? Okay, great. Here it is,
I just served you up a soapbox. Go.
You have to trust your dealers. When you have a problem, and you know it's a problem, you have to call, you have to email the dealer, to put it out on Facebook, but you got to let your dealers know where there's a problem and we're working on it. So many manufacturers say, oh, we don't know. And the dealers of today, the integrators of today, it's not like the retailers. Retailers, you sit in the store and they wait for the client to come to you. If you can, he goes away. There's no cost involved. For us to roll a truck, deal with the problem, we're out in the field, tech support says no problem found, and we're spinning. The client isn't reimbursing us for this time. Thousands of wasted man hours only to find out, oh, there was, yeah, we knew about it, but we didn't want to tell anybody because we weren't sure. I get it. It's a catch. You're in a tough position. You put the information out there, it goes viral, and now the competition is talking about it. I get it. But you either got to pick your dealers that you trust that are not going to just going to say, thank you for the information. We'll tell the client we're working on it. Done. Versus wasting countless man hours trying to fix a problem that they can't fix. And it's not the information people saying, well, it's a network. The problem that you're having, it's a network. Okay. Kinda not. And it's like nobody wants to be responsible for it. But it goes back to communication. The more communication we have collectively as a whole, we will be better. It's really simple. But that's my number one thing that to the vendors.
Amen. I can tell you here at One Firefly, that's always a theme. We are human like everyone else, and there are issues and problems and mistakes that are made, misinterpretations that are made. And, rarely do you get in trouble for over communicating. And even if you perceive that you do get in trouble for over communicating, it's usually less trouble than you'd be in if you didn't communicate. It's I think that's a great way to close out, Tom. We're coming up on an hour here. Tom, for folks that are tuned in either live with us on replay or in audio, how do you want people to get in touch with you? What do you recommend?
Well, I have an amazing company trying to get my website up. If they can get my website up, then that would be a good way of getting. Do you know anybody that does good websites?
I have a Rolodex. I'll look up some people. I'll see if I can find someone for you.
I would say email is the best. I can always get that. And then eventually you can go to my website because I'm going to create something that's I call JAT, Just Ask Tom. And I will I'm hopefully going to do a lot more of this in the future and directing you to my website. I'm trying to, I know it's a little odd, but I want to make my website a go-to place for information. And not just once, over and over. So if you're looking for the sides of a TV, you're looking for the colors of the Steinway speakers, you're looking for just information, it's a place that you're going to be able to go to. That's what my web marketing department is doing.
The one that I'm going to find for you in my Rolodex.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's going to. We will put all of that information down in the comments section. We'll also put that over in the show notes. I see my team already dropping that in. There's Tom's email and the atlanticstereo.com URL. Tom, it's been a pleasure to have you on show 181 of Automation Unplugged. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right, folks, there you have it. And yes, Tom made reference to a web project that we are super excited to have been selected to work on with Tom, and we're really getting to know him and his business and his mastery of so many subjects around just running a business, and his passion for audio and video are infectious. So much so that the other night, I think it was a Friday night, Tom and I were talking. He said, Ron, I'm getting a glass of wine. You do the same. And I did that. And then he gave me the whole demo through his Steinway stereo room. And it was awesome. I want to see it in person. I want to more than see it. I want to listen to it in person. But I got it through his iPad through Zoom into my ears. So it was pretty cool. Certainly the strategy of watching how he walks around the room and talks about the technology and sound reproduction. I think that he is one of the many masters out there in our industry that do that quite effectively. So like always, folks, if you have not already done so, please go to the One Firefly Instagram. That is one of our channels. It is our newest channel, so it's the one we've been promoting for the last year and a half or so. And we will be live posting here. We have Cedia coming up around the corner. Yes, One Firefly is going to be there live in full force. We're bringing a small army of marketers to the show. And we'll be live posting on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn. So definitely want to make sure to follow us if you don't already. And if you have not subscribed to the podcast, that is the way to get these shows when you are out on the run, or in my case, on the walk. I walk every morning, or at least I try to, and that's where I consume my podcast content. So definitely check that out or subscribe. And if you feel so compelled, leave us a review, and it would be thoroughly appreciated. Here's our website, onefirefly.com. Here's our phone number. And I will see you all next week. Thank you all so much.